Hey everybody. I'm having a flashback to the late first decade of the century in the year 2009. It was a simpler time, a more hopeful time, and there's a earworm from that era that's been stuck in my head that we need to talk about for this episode of Cat Shorts. So everybody grab your Martin Luther hat or your 16th century reformer's cap equivalent, and let's take a trip down memory lane. Before we get to Martin Luther and the smaller catechism for 500 years ago, or the words of Jesus in the Lord's Prayer from like 2,000 years ago, let's just start back a decade ago. There was a song that was on the radio everywhere for a few months in the year 2009, and one repeated line in that song keeps coming back. In fact, in my recollection, I don't even remember the original name of the song. I had to go look it up because all I could remember was just this repeated refrain, 4 words, "Don't let me go." It kept getting repeated over and over and over again. This line in the song, it went like this. You might have heard it. Don't let me go, 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 don't let me go. Now, you might think if you had that repeated refrain over and over and over again, the song would be called Don't Let Me Go. Nope, I was wrong. It's called Never Say Never, and it was by the band The Fray that was all over the place on the radio in 2008, 2009, 2010. Like I say, a simpler time. Now, the reason I wanted to take this trip into Denver-based piano rock pop from the beginning of the millennium is because the way that line works in the song, Don't Let Me Go, over and over and over again, in a love song, isn't really a statement of fear, like the person I'm singing to, I think you will let me go. It's really a statement of confidence in the person you're singing to and admitting your own need for the other person to be there, right? So in a song like that, Don't Let Me Go, it's sung over and over and over again, not out of fear, I don't think, but I think the voice in that song is singing to somebody he really, really trusts and saying like, please don't let me go, I need you, you're going to be the way I get through this. And that's the way we have to hear the next part of the Lord's Prayer. We've been working our way through the whole of the Lord's Prayer, and we finally gotten to this next set of lines that goes, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Or another parallel translation and another version from Luke's Gospel goes, save us from the time of trial and deliver us from evil. And the wording is a little bit different, but basically, again, it's that idea of Hebrew poetry that has rhyming ideas. Hebrew poetry doesn't have rhyming words so much as it has ideas that rhyme. I'll say one thing and then I'll repeat the concept in different words. So, lead us not into temptation, but instead, what do I want God to do? Oh, but deliver me from evil. These are similar ideas. And our older brother in the faith, Martin Luther, makes a really, really important point here. He says, when we pray this, let's be clear. It's not that God's secretly plotting to lead us into temptation, or that God's plan is to lead us astray unless we pray that God wouldn't. But it's said with the same kind of like desperate earnestness and trust that refrain from that song that's been stuck in my head goes. So when we pray, lead us not into temptation, it's not saying, God, I'm pretty sure I need to remind you, don't lead me astray. It's instead more like with that urgency of the songwriter who goes, don't let me go, right? So it's more like, don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. The same way that like when I'm playing in the front yard with my kids and they're climbing up in the tree, and I'm always standing just right there at the foot of the tree, same distance I always am. And my daughter will shout from up in whatever tree branch. She'll say, Daddy, Daddy, stay close. Daddy, Daddy, don't let me fall out. Well, I'm right there. I'm always right there. She knows that, but there's something in her that needs to say it. And because of that, there's something in me that needs to hear it. Okay. You need to say that you are aware that you'll fall without somebody around to catch you. You need to have that assurance that I'm here. Fine. So say it, and I will say back to you, I'm here. It will be all right. When we pray, lead us not into temptation, it's not giving God new information or a new request. Like God and the angels are sitting up in heaven debating, should we tempt the humans today? Should we taunt them? That's the way the ancient Greek and Roman gods handle things in the old myths, right? They were always taunting human beings just to mess with them. The God we meet in the scriptures, the God who is revealed to us in Jesus, never has to sit around debating, should I mess with the humans or not? Instead, Luther says, we can always count on God to be the one who guides us through, who leads us on a good path, who's never going to intentionally lead us astray. But we need to be the ones who call out to God, God, don't let me go. Don't let me go. You're going to be the way I get through this life, because on my own, there'd be lots of places I would go astray. But with you, I won't. That changes how we hear this prayer, so that there's never any fear that unless I say the words right, God might accidentally lead me in a bad direction, or that God might malevolently try and trick me or tempt me to get me to mess up. That's not how it works. Instead, these words that for me used to seem like this weird, why am I asking God not to lead me into temptation, all of a sudden have a new urgency and a beauty to them, because I can pray them the way I hear that song, don't let me go, God, don't let me go, knowing that as I speak them, God's response has been all along, I'm right here, I will never let you go. That's just it. The God we pray to, don't lead us into temptation, is the God whose first word to us is, I won't let you go. Thanks for joining us here on this week's Cat Shorts.